When you're starting out, the first thing you need to figure out is Note apps. Now, if you go to my website, ericlow.com/AI, I have a list of comparisons that I have done of apps in various different categories. The most recent I did was dictation, but Note apps is one of the earlier comparisons that I did. And let me just show you kind of what I've done here. So if I go to Note apps, this is all in Google Sheets. Most of these are Mac apps, but I do list which platform they're available on so you can see in here. But if I just zoom out, you'll see how many apps have been compared here. Yeah, I've compared a few apps now. I've reached out to a lot of developers and they've contributed some of this information. But yeah, needless to say, I've tried, I feel like I've tried everything out there, but there's always something new. So in any event, some of the top apps that I want to highlight, or three of them at least, would be Obsidian, UpNote, I'll talk a little bit about DevonThink, and then Scrivener, because these are the ones that are really a little bit more focused on providing features that will be helpful in an academic setting. UpNote is a great little app. This is probably one of the cheapest apps around when it comes to note apps. It's not free, it's like $30, $40 for a lifetime account. And this is just a great little tool for replacing, in my case, Apple Notes. And one of the reasons why I like it so much is that it can be used for so much. So I have on the screen here a list of folders on the left. Everything can be sorted. I have a folder full of articles. I can tag those articles as I want. But yeah, there's a lot you can do with this. You can create little code blocks. All of this is compatible with Markdown, which means it's very easy to export. It's very easy to learn. There's a lot of features in here. You can do things like collapsible sections, right, where you can have a title, you can have some content paragraphs, and then from there you can just expand and collapse all these little things. It's really convenient for organizing thoughts and ideas, and just I use it for just all sorts of little things that are imprecise. I'm not going to create a Word document for it. But something that's really neat about it is you can go in and you can create a web link for any note you have. And that web link can then be shared with anyone. So, and you can disable access at any point in time if you don't want it out on the internet. But here's just a OCR prompt I use for AI to convert to Markdown. If I wanted to share this, I can just go put it into a browser here, and there you go. It is then shared. So that is UpNote. I'd highly recommend you check it out. It's got tags, which make it great to be able to search and sort by tags as well. There's just so much you can do here, access like that. The next one I'm not going to give an in-depth overview of is Obsidian. Obsidian is free. It's a free equivalent to UpNote. The only pricing that they offer here is for online sync, and this will sync from device to device. UpNote comes with free syncing, so that's why I prefer UpNote. But Obsidian does have ways that you can add plugins and extensions to sync with for free as well, but you would have to search that online and figure out what plugins that you would need for it. My wife uses this quite a bit for her research. She's using it for her dissertation research, in part because it allows you to create webs of information based on your notes. So if you create a lot of research notes as you're studying, on different topics and names of people and content, you can tag all of those, and then it'll kind of create a brain, so to speak, a neural net where you can see clusters of ideas in a visual way. So that's helpful. Moving on, another category, of course, would be a more detailed writer. A lot of people use Microsoft Office, and that's great. I came across another piece of software called Scrivener that has taken my writing really to another level. It offers a set of features that I find incredibly helpful. They have a sale every year, I think around Black Friday time, and there's one or two other periods of time. It's a little pricey. It's $50-$60, but I believe they have a student discount, which brings it down by, I think, 30%, but you'll have to check. So they're also Mac, Windows, iOS compatible. I believe the iOS app is a separate purchase. Haven't really needed that because I don't really do much academic writing from a mobile device, but certainly if you're doing a lot of writing on an iPad or something like that, that may be helpful. Okay, so here's the Scrivener app. It's opened to my dissertation here, but let me just point out that on the left-hand side you have basically a file structure, and what's awesome about this is that this is kind of unique for a writing piece of software, in the sense that very often if you opened a Word document, you would have just one document you're working with. What is unique here is that this particular app, Scrivener, will organize your work into sections. So for example, I can have a cover page, I can have preliminaries, which state my problem that I'm working with in my paper. I can then have the content of the paper, and then I can have, of course, the appendix with various diagrams. But what's neat is that when I select all four, or the entire folder, it just turns it into one seamless run-on page. And then it also sidelines citations to a sidebar here. So on the right side, you have a number of different things. You have footnotes and comments, where you can add comments throughout your document. And when you add a footnote, for example, it actually puts it in on the right. Now, there is one catch here, and the catch is that you need to use the citation manager that will put in these short codes. So Bates here is an article by Joseph Bates. This is the reference ID from EndNote, and then that's the page number that I have in here. So yeah, it's a little tricky, but once you figure it out, it's really quite simple. It's not hard at all to get going once you know what you're doing. So in any event, what's great here is that you can also split your page. So I can have on one side my research. So I can have all of my research references and my note cards, so to speak. I can also view them as note cards if I want. I can have them on the one side. I can be working through things topically or chronologically, and then I can be writing on the right hand side. It's a really nice workflow. Now, of course, you could do the same thing with two Word documents, one on the left, one on the right. But I just love the fact that my footnotes are out of the way. I can just focus on having everything in literally one file on my computer. And in addition to that, I can also save snapshots. There's this great little snapshot feature where for different documents that I'm working with, even subsections or chapters here, I can go in and I can create and take a snapshot, and essentially that takes a solid state of my writing, and I can revert back to it later on. So if, for example, I start writing a different direction and I'm like, I just don't like where this went, I can save that checkpoint and I can revert back to an earlier checkpoint and then go back there. Another thing that's great here is this does integrate quite well with the Grammarly app. One note on that, you do have to, I think you have to view this as a run-on page. There's a way that you have to set the page view so that it shows up properly. But in any event, it works quite well for me, and this just allows me to work very efficiently with my research. Something else it's really good at is tags. I have all of these note cards, and one thing I should mention is depending on which side of your screen you have selected, that's what you're going to be updating every time you click somewhere. So for example, if I just want to look at maybe two note cards, I can do that on the left here, and then it will just show those note cards. So I can basically choose what I want to look at, and it will break that down for me. So that is just awesome. I love it, and it just makes life much easier. You can also search by each note card's tag. I've named all of my note cards in a kind of specific convention so that I can find and view things even in the preview. I have a little check mark once I'm done using it in my paper. So that's just one of the ways that I've worked out in my own workflow to do things. These little hashtags as well that just kind of summarize what each source is about. One last thing I should mention is when you're done, you don't just save this as like a Word document. You do have to compile it, and so you would go to File, Compile, and then what it actually does is it generates a Word document. That Word document is then what you work with next. So the Word document, once it's done, will have all of your citations in this format here, and you would then open up your citation manager and it'll swap it out with the actual citations rather than the short code references. So a little complicated to get up and running, but once you have it, man, I mean, I'm running my entire dissertation in here, and it's just making life so easy. I don't have to have files scattered all over the place. I don't have to have little notes and note cards everywhere. It's just all accessible in one super convenient place. So that is Scrivener.